welcome to the Voice of America in Washington, D.C. I'm Ayesha Tanzeem, and I'm privileged to have with me today Raheela Ahmed. Raheela, is that how you pronounce your name?
Most definitely.
And let me tell people before I talk to you that next November, when everybody will be watching the presidential election, Raheela will be voting for the next U.S. president and for herself. Right, Raheela? Because she is running for one of the largest school districts in the country as a member of the school board, as one of the youngest Americans to run for such a position. She is still 18 and you have won the primary.
Yes,
and you actually beat your opponent by 10%, if I understand, and you ran a really interesting grassroots campaign. First, tell us, what gave you the idea of running for the school board when you've hardly just graduated from school yourself?
Well, you know, I've been through the school system for my entire academia in Prince George's County, which is the county I'm running in. So that was a whole 13 years of experience that I've seen the school system, and I've seen some of the things that I'd like to improve upon and some of the things that need to be changed. So I'd love to implement those different changes and be sure that we have a good education system for our students, and that's a big driving force for me, at least.
So can we call it like democracy at work? They just taught you about elections in your civic class, and here you are running for elections, and you start voting at 18.
Yes.
You're actually running for an election at 18. How's the experience?
You know, it's been very exciting for me. My dad is actually very politically active as well. So I was helping him with his campaign when he ran before in 2010. And that experience really showed me the beauty of our democracy, and it inspired me to run this time as well. I think that learning about the democratic process here in the United States is a very enlightening experience, and I'm glad to have had this opportunity to go and talk to different people in my community to see what the issues are. It's just been a very great experience for me and exciting as well.
And you went knocking on doors,
yes.
Didn't you? Did people say, my God, you're too young to run for anything yet?
You know, a lot of people, they didn't have that initial reaction. Even if they did, they didn't tell me, at least. But most definitely when I came up to them, they definitely were okay with hearing what I had to say. And based upon that, after the entire conversation, they would say, you know, you don't seem as young as you are. And I take that as a compliment, because it shows that I know what's going on and I'm more than just my face or my age.
Now, Raheela, you come from, as you describe yourself, a Desi background.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your parents. Where are they from?
Well, my mom is from Pakistan. She moved here when she was 5 years old to Washington, D.C., and then she moved from there to Prince George's County while she was in elementary, middle school. And then my dad, he's from India, and he moved here when he was in his 20s. So both of them have been very integral, or very been, you know, helping me out
and how much
in this process
of that
as well.
Influenced your upbringing?
Oh, most definitely. Both of my parents I love them. They're just very amazing, very supportive of me in this race. And a lot of people, you know, ask me, why do you think you won? And I think my parents had a lot to do with this, because they were so supportive and they were very helpful to me in providing me the opportunities that I needed to succeed.
Do you describe yourself mostly as an American or as a Desi, since your parents are from Pakistan and India, two sides of the border?
Well, you know what I have to say to that is, America is my home, and I can't imagine myself anywhere else, but I also can't imagine myself without the culture that I've been raised in and brought up in. So they're both two very important parts to who I am as a person and as Raheela. So I think they both play very important roles in my life. But for me, America is my home.
Now, Raheela, I see that you cover your head.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a report that came out by Amnesty International yesterday that said in Europe there's a lot of discrimination. Women who cover their head have a harder time finding jobs, even going to colleges. Mm-hmm. What's been your experience in America?
You know what? I'm so thankful to live in this type of a community where it's so diverse. And I'm very privileged to have the support system from my constituents in this race. You know, I didn't expect to do as well as I did, but I will not take those votes for granted. I know that I'm very proud of the constituents in my area to have voted for me, knowing that I cover my head, knowing that I'm not from originally culturally from this country. In terms of, you know, I'm Desi, but I was born and raised in America. So I'm very excited to see that everyone here is very accepting of me. So I feel bad for the European Muslim Americans there, but for me here, you know, this is where I feel like I was meant to be.
And American Muslims have had problems. I mean, we've had organizations like CARE who've pointed out how some women were fired because of headscarves and had to go to court. What was your experience going to high school when people are so looking to belong, and here you are different from other people?
I think the high school experience is all that you make it out to be. So for me, I was very confident, and I knew that when I was going to high school that I would start wearing the scarf, and I stuck to it, and whenever people asked me questions, I knew what my response would be. I think showing that confidence and showing that you're comfortable with yourself is something that people appreciate, and that is really what helped me in picking up the scarf in high school.
So you did actually start in high school,
Yes,
not before?
9th grade, yep.
Was it your decision?
My decision completely, and I think that's what made it so much easier for me to address those questions and those concerns from my classmates and from people in the community, because this was a decision that I made on my own.
Does your mother cover her head?
She does.
She does?
She does,
Okay.
but I do have other family members that are a little bit more relaxed about that. So I've seen both sides of the spectrum, and making my decision going in, I knew all the facts and all of the pluses and minuses that would go into that type of a decision, and I weighed the benefits and they outweighed the
what
negatives.
in your eyes were those benefits?
The benefits, you know, I think wearing the scarf, it really gives you an outsider's view on yourself. So it really keeps you in check in terms of, you know, you're able to see what you're doing right and what you need to improve upon yourself. So for me, it really provided me an outside perspective, and it helped me not fall into the peer pressure as much as I feel like I would have if I had not put on the scarf. So it definitely helped with the peer pressure aspect, as well as helping me develop my own identity, and that was very beneficial.
Now, you were in high school at a time in the last few years when a lot of people say anti-Muslim emotions in U.S. have actually grown. We had the Ground Zero Mosque controversy. We had, you know, we had the Times Square bombing. And did you feel any impact?
For me, you know, I actually did a research project on this very recently. So I think that when people come up to you and see you, they might have that initial hesitation, but when they get to know you and you talk to them and they talk to you, they understand that the things that radicals are doing is not mainstream what the religion is teaching. So I think having had interaction with Muslims like me in the schools, it helps people to kind of be aware that the issues that are being faced are not universal, or the you know, the problems that we're having with the terrorists and the suicide bombers, they're not universal to all Muslims. And so I'm glad that I can be that face for those people to make them understand or help them understand Islam in a better light.
Let's get back to your school district. What made you decide to run? I mean, here you are passing high school. A lot of people are thinking, which college are they going to go to? What's going to be their major? You know, what career path? And you say, oh no, I'm going to run for the school board.
Yeah, you know, the school system has given me so much. They've given me numerous opportunities. I was in the science and technology program in high school. I was in TAG in middle school and elementary school. So I've been having a great education process, and I had some great teachers as well to help me through that process. And for me, I want every student to have an impactful teacher, an impactful education that's going to help them in the future.
And what difference can you make? What will you bring?
You know, having gone through the system, I understand that every decision that I make is going to have an impact directly on the students
and
the
how
teachers.
How will it affect your studies? Are you planning to go to college? How are you going to balance that?
I'm in college right now, actually. I'm at the University of Maryland, College Park, and I'm studying business there. So I really enjoy that experience, and I understand the value of education, so I'm determined to continue there with my undergraduate and then go on to graduate school afterwards.
And you're going to balance the school board responsibilities with that?
Yes. You know, with this entire process of the campaign in school, I've been balancing it very well, and I'm very delighted to have such a wonderful team supporting me and helping me in these endeavors. So I intend to continue that forward motion onto the general election.
How many students in your school district are from Indian or Pakistani or South Asian background?
You know, I don't have the exact number, but there are quite a few, especially in the schools that I've been in, they've been very heavy Southeast Asian population there.
And how many students are actually politically active? Like, you seem to be, you're very into
Yeah.
things and you want to make a change. Are there many like you, or are you one of the nerds? Pardon my using
No,
that
yeah,
word.
I'm pretty nerdy. I'm
Okay.
pretty nerdy, but yeah, there are not a lot of politically active youth, especially not in high school. You know, that's, like you said before, that's not something that a lot of people are thinking about when they're in high school. But I've seen on this college campus, we've actually been going through elections, SGA elections at the University of Maryland. And in that type of environment, the voting atmosphere is much more promoted. And I'd love to see more youth active in politics, or active in at least, you know, doing their civic duty in voting. So I hope that my being here and running for office will inspire high schoolers to get involved in politics and government as well.
And have you seen any difference with your class or your juniors? They see, oh my God, Raheela is running, maybe we can help her with a campaign or something?
Oh yeah, I've definitely had a lot of support from my former classmates, the classmates that are in high school right now.
Okay, what I want to find out is, who were the 50 people who went door knocking for you? Were they
Oh
your
my goodness.
classmates?
A lot of them were. A lot of them were. A lot of them were the people that I worked with at the University of Maryland in the various programs I'm in. A lot of them were from organizations that I was in high school. And then we also have family friends and even constituents that I've met on the campaign trail that have been helping out with this process as well. So I'm very, very pleased to say that I have a very diverse group of individuals from different locations and organizations.
And you will be on the same ballot that people will go to vote for the President of the United States,
Oh,
right?
yes.
You know, his name or their name will be at the top and you will be on the same ballot. Are you also going to be involved in political side of the campaigning, the actual presidential election process?
I will be voting in the presidential elections for sure. You know, I understand the value of voting, so I'm definitely going to be sure to vote in the general election for that position.
And do you have a favorite candidate?
Do I have a favorite candidate? I don't know if am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
I mean,
But-
it's your choice. I mean, if you don't want to say it, that's fine. But if you
Okay.
do have a favorite candidate, you're
I do have a
totally-
favorite, but let's not
You're being
express that. Express that. It's okay.
very political.
I know.
Do we see a politician in the making then?
You know, I oppose the idea of being like a career politician. I don't think that that's something I want to do, being in office for a large number of years, because I think, you know, at least for me, if I'm in an office for that long and I'm not able to make a significant difference, then maybe I shouldn't be in there and let new blood come in. I'm very much pro new blood. I'm very young myself, so I like that approach.
Now, let me come back to another idea of, do you see that the American society is becoming more integrated, or is it becoming more hostile towards different cultures? Post 9/11, here we are more than 10 years later, and we still have issues.
Yeah.
Have you seen things get better or worse?
Well, for me, I think the exposure to different cultures really helps in bridging that diversity gap that we have. But not all Americans have that opportunity to be exposed to different cultures. So I think that's one issue. I think in order to bridge that gap, there just needs to be positive communication flow between people of different cultures, and that will enlighten others to understand the differences that are in each other and embrace those differences.
What are some of the most common myths people have about you as an American Muslim, seeing you with a headscarf? What's the question that comes up again and again?
You know, a lot of people, it's interesting because I don't get that question a lot. I don't get that question of, you know, American or Muslim, even though I feel like, you know, that may be in the back of people's minds. I think after speaking with me, they understand that it's possible to have both identities in one person. So I appreciate that and I understand that. But there are a few people that are concerned about the issue only because of, I think, the negative spread of Islam and Muslims in America.
Are you the youngest ever school board member in the U.S.?
If I'm elected, I'll be 19 years old. So I will not be the youngest, but I'll tie.
Okay. So there's been another 19-year-old school board member in the past?
Yes, it's actually that person is actually an incumbent in my district. So he's running for re-election in this campaign, but he was elected when he was 19 years old.
And was he a popular board member?
Yes, he actually received 67% of the vote in this primary election. So that's, 2/3 of the population is thinking that he's doing a good job. So.
Well, wonderful. That's good to know. Now, do you follow issues in mainstream media, in politics, especially issues related to Islam, Muslims, immigration, South Asians?
Sometimes, I try to keep track of basic things that are going on, especially keep track of the news, but education is really my passion, my focus. So I make sure that I keep track on the different improvements and changes in education, especially on the state and local levels.
Do you watch Bollywood movies?
Oh, of course. I love it.
Which one did you watch recently?
I'm a big fan of Three Idiots. I know that's, that's one of the ones that I keep watching over and over again, and I never get bored of it because it has such a good meaning and such a good message behind it. So I love that. The most recent one, it would be hard for me to think of. Oh.
Do you go to Pakistan often, or India for that matter?
I've been to India numerous times. The last time was probably in 2008, so it's been a while. But I've never been to Pakistan.
Wow.
Never been, yeah.
Wow. Are you planning to go?
I hope so. Sometime in the future, as long as I have the time and the availability to go, I would love to go.
What was your experience of India like?
I loved India. With India, we have a lot of extended family there, especially from both my mom's and dad's side of the family. So it's always nice to go and visit the roots of where my parents grew up and to see the population there and how it's changing, and just to revamp the cultural investment that I have in India. So I love that. I love going to India.
So what are some of your favorite programs that you would like to introduce in the schools?
In the school system, I feel like we have a lot of different smaller issues that play into the big effect of why some people may think our schools are failing. For me, my number one thing is communication. I think that we definitely need to bridge the communication gap between the school board members and the school system with parents, with teachers, with students, and then also with other elected officials. So we have elected officials on the county level, like the county council members, the county executive, and then also the state level, which is the state delegates and senators. So I think until we bridge the gap between both ends of the spectrum, it's going to be hard for us to make any forward progress as a county. So communication is definitely my number one priority.
Now, you were born in America, but your parents were both immigrants, first generation immigrants. Do they talk to you about what they went through and what it was like for them?
My dad does talk about it a lot, but he doesn't reflect as much on the past as what he wants to do for the future. So he kind of tells me, Raheela, you have these opportunities, you should take them, and this is how you can do it, this is how I can help you. They're very much supportive. Both of my parents are very supportive in helping me trying to find my way in America.
And I'm sure you'll do a great job finding your way. We see that you're balancing education with helping with the school board. I really wish you good luck. Hope you get elected and we have you back here again explaining what it's like. We have Raheela Ahmed with us, who is one of the two youngest ever school board members. We hope she gets elected in November when everybody will be voting in her district for the school board members while they're also voting for the President of the United States. From the Voice of America studios in Washington, D.C., I'm Ayesha Tanzeem. Thank you for watching.
To be changed. So I'd love to implement those different changes and be sure that we have a good education system for our students, and that's a big driving force for me, at least.
So can we call it like democracy at work? They just taught you about elections in your civic class, and here you are running for elections, and you start voting at 18.
Yes.
You're actually running for an election at 18. How's the experience?
It's been very exciting for me. My dad is actually very politically active as well. So I was helping him with his campaign when he ran before in 2010. And that experience
and welcome to the Voice of America in Washington, D.C. I'm Ayesha Tanzeem, and I'm privileged to have with me today Raheela Ahmed. Raheela, is that how you pronounce your name?
Most definitely.
And let me tell people before I talk to you that next November, when everybody will be watching the presidential election, Raheela will be voting for the next U.S. president and for herself. Right, Raheela? Because she is running for one of the largest school districts in the country as a member of the school board, as one of the youngest Americans to run for such a position. She is still 18 and you have won the primary. And you actually beat your opponent by 10%, if I understand, and you ran a really interesting grassroots campaign. First, tell us, what gave you the idea of running for the school board when you've hardly just graduated from school yourself?
Well, you know, I've been through the school system for my entire academia in Prince George's County, which is the county I'm running in. So that was a whole 13 years of experience that I've seen the school system, and I've seen some of the things that I'd like to improve upon and some of the things that need. After the entire conversation, they would say, you know, you don't seem as young as you are, and I take that as a compliment because it shows that I know what's going on and I'm more than just my face or my age.
Now, Raheela, you come from, as you described yourself, a Desi background. Tell me about your parents, where they're from.
Well, my mom is from Pakistan. She moved here when she was 5 years old to Washington, D.C., and then she moved from there to Prince George's County while she was in elementary, middle school. And then my dad, he's from India, and he moved here when he was in his 20s. So it really showed me the beauty of our democracy, and it inspired me to run this time as well. I think that learning about the democratic process here in the United States is a very enlightening experience, and I'm glad to have had this opportunity to go and talk to different people in my community to see what the issues are. It's just been a very great experience for me and exciting as well.
And you went knocking on doors,
yes.
Didn't you? Did people say, my God, you're too young to run for anything yet?
You know, a lot of people, they didn't have that initial reaction. Even if they did, they didn't tell me at least. But most definitely when I came up to them, they definitely were okay with hearing what I had to say. And based upon that,